Good morning, everybody. Good morning. And I have a few seats up front for those of you that want to sit down. We've got a nice crowd. Well, on behalf of the entire UCLA community, I want to welcome everyone here this morning. Not always easy to get to UCLA this time of the day. We appreciate you being here. So today we're announcing a very important initiative, important for UCLA, certainly, but also important for Los Angeles, and we think important for the world. UCLA is launching, in close cooperation with the City of Los Angeles, the first of 6 Grand Challenge projects that we'll be announcing over the next few years. This particular Grand Challenge deals with the environment and sustainability. Thus, we're calling it Thriving in a Hotter Los Angeles. And although the project will focus on developing solutions right here in Los Angeles, and we have a laser-like focus on the issues right here, we believe the initiative is going to serve as a model for other major cities around the country, indeed around the world. And in my comments this morning, I want to answer 3 questions, address 3 issues. Why are we launching this initiative? What exactly are we proposing? And why is UCLA taking the lead on this Grand Challenge? But before I answer those questions, I want to take a moment to acknowledge some key individuals. This has been a huge amount of work to put this together. So first of all, Mayor Garcetti regrets he couldn't be here in person this morning, but he has taped a video for us, and I'm deeply appreciative. He was extraordinarily busy, and he taped a video, and we'll play that later in the program. In addition, we're delighted to have several members of the mayor's office here this morning, including Rick Jacobs, Deputy Chief of Staff Operations, and also Matt Peterson, Chief Sustainability Officer for the City of Los Angeles. I want to take this opportunity to thank the mayor and his team for their cooperation, but most importantly for their enthusiastic support of this Grand Challenge project. This is going to be a team effort, and the fact that the mayor is so strongly behind us on this is going to be critical. You'll also be hearing later in the program from 2 key public officials and great friends of UCLA, Councilmember Paul Koretz and County Supervisor Zev Yaroslavsky. Welcome, both of you. It's great to have you here. I'd also like to mention the names of our faculty teams, leaders and teams, and I believe most of them are here. Mark Gold is here, who is the head of this program, Alex Hall, Diana Huffaker, Glenn McDonald, and Catherine Reish, who's providing invaluable guidance and staff support. So thank you all for being here. Also want to say a special word of thanks to Dr. James Economo, our Vice Chancellor for Research. Jim and his energetic team, and this is critical because these are 2 really critical people, including Michelle Popowitz and Jill Schweitzer, who have done an extraordinary amount of work on this vision. This was really truly their vision, their grand vision to create this challenge project. They've been tireless and extraordinarily effective in making today's launch possible. I'd also like to recognize Crirstin Dorgelo, and from the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, who's with us today. Crirstin will give you some insights into how these grand challenges fit into President Obama's priorities. And I guess I could say Kristen's also a Bruin. A Bruin, so proud. So welcome home, welcome home. And last, and certainly not least, I want to recognize a great friend of UCLA, Tony Pritzker, who joins us today. Tony has served for several years now as the chairman of the Board of Advisors for UCLA's Institute of Environment and Sustainability. More recently, he stepped forward to a very small job to help lead UCLA's Centennial campaign as co-chair. Very big job. Later you'll be hearing from Tony in the program, but I want to take a moment also to acknowledge that Tony has made a very generous investment to help kick this particular Grand Challenge project off, and we're all very grateful for his support. Thank you for all that you're doing. So let me get first to the question why. Why are we launching this initiative? The short answer is because we must. And this will be underscored by our various speakers this morning. We face a major sustainability crisis, both locally and globally. And you only have to drive around Los Angeles to see how arid it is to remind you how challenging it's going to be as this climate warms up. And failure to take constructive action is simply not an option. Population growth over the next few decades, coupled with the effects of climate change, which is occurring, will soon place unsustainable demands on water and energy resources in every urban area on the planet. Water scarcity is likely to be one of the most severe consequences of population growth and climate change. And as we know, as I mentioned, Los Angeles is particularly vulnerable because of the arid climate and our reliance on imported water, which books have been written about it, of course. In fact, more than 85% of LA's water comes from outside the region. That's an incredible number. 85% has to be imported to this region. So it is going to be an enormous challenge for LA to deal with the changing climate and the change in population over the next several decades. The perilous effect of climate change is already here, though. We don't have to wait 20 years to see the effect. Witness the increased frequency and severity of extreme weather events such as floods, droughts, and storms. The world watched in horror and disbelief as we saw Super Typhoon Haiyan devastated large portions of the Philippines just last week. These are storms that are extraordinary, that we've not seen before. That says something is changing and obviously having a huge impact on the weather. And it was only last year that we dealt with Superstorm Sandy, which struck the East Coast. So these new storms are creating new challenges. Larger, more frequent, and more intense wildfires have also become much more common. Now, I hope at least some of what I said is alarming, and it's meant to be. It's meant to be alarming. And I think those of us sitting here in Los Angeles, we're ground zero for some of these challenges. We really are, and we have to be alert to that. These are stark realities. It's really a loud wake-up call for all of us. We've got to pay attention to this now. We have to have swift and effective action to begin to deal with these issues. So, okay, let me turn to the second question. What are we proposing? So the overarching vision of thriving in a hotter Los Angeles is to provide a path for Los Angeles to obtain by 2050 100% of its water supply from local sources. So an extraordinary change to be able to use water and recycle water in new effective ways and capture water so that 100% of the water is local, is used locally, and 100% of the energy comes from renewable sources, while protecting the expanding region's unique biodiversity. So to protect the biodiversity, but to really become energy sufficient on renewable sources. From now through 2019, which happens to be the year of UCLA Centennial, UCLA faculty from more than 36 campus students will collaborate on groundbreaking cross-disciplinary research projects to deliver the innovative technologies, creative policies, and bold plans needed to achieve this revolutionary transformation in Los Angeles by mid-century. So this is, as you can tell, extraordinary goals. But California has met extraordinary challenges before, and those of us that lived in California 40 years ago only need to look at the environment here, the atmosphere, and see what we can achieve when there is a huge commitment to make a change. So working closely with the city and county officials, we'll also develop and execute a comprehensive outreach plan to engage the project's diverse stakeholders throughout the Los Angeles community. This must be a team effort. We can come up with methodology, new technology, but implementation is not UCLA. Implementation has to be the community. So we're going to have to work closely together. So finally, why is UCLA taking the lead in this grand challenge? So we're one of the world's leading public research universities, and the emphasis here is on the word public. We believe UCLA has an obligation as part of our public service mission to develop solutions that improve the quality of life and well-being for the people of Los Angeles and California as a state institution, but of course also for the country and the world, because we truly are global. In addition, UCLA possesses vital expertise in many areas related to climate change. We didn't just choose this particular grand challenge because this is an important area of concern for the people of Los Angeles. It's because we have the resources on campus, the intellectual resources to make a difference. So there's a tremendously good fit here between what we can do at UCLA and the problems that we face right here at home. So we expect, in this initiative, we expect many UCLA students and alumni will also be willing to participate. I'd love to see this as a university-wide project that every undergraduate knows about it. Maybe not every undergraduate participates in some way, but everyone knows about it, and hopefully a large number of our students use this as an educational experience, but also some roll up their sleeves and actually help in labs and in other research areas. So that's going to be important as well as an educational opportunity. By making Los Angeles environmentally sustainable, we'll really light the path for the rest of the world to follow. We could, again, be a leader. We certainly are pointed to when it turns out that cleaning up smog. LA is always used as the case example of how you can deal with the smog problem, with the pollution problem. We can now really be the guiding light for dealing with some of these energy and water issues. So today we face a severe challenge. We must address it head on. It's now a question of severe sustainability, but it could become an issue of survivability if we fail to act. So we all collectively have to act, and we have to act soon. So we must do that before it's too late. So now I'd like you to take a look at a short video, which I had a chance to preview, that I think is really inspiring, that we believe really transmits the critical importance of this Grand Challenge project, along with our sense of optimism that we will be successful. So thank you and enjoy the video.
That's why we're pursuing other grand challenges, like making solar energy as cheap as coal, or making electric vehicles as affordable as the ones that run on gas. They're ambitious goals, but they're achievable. And we're encouraging companies and research universities and other organizations to get involved and help us make progress.
I think people have a sense that we are having a huge impact on the environment. There's probably a sense that these changes are irreversible, and I think people are afraid. You know, one reaction to that fear is to shut down and not think about it. And another reaction, in some cases, to deny that these changes are happening. I think fear creates all kinds of reactions. So this is about addressing that and making people recognize that the future can be bright.
I'm a curious engineer, and I think I'm always looking to solve the real hard problems. And what we're doing is taking some appliances like refrigerators, dryers, air conditioners, and we're adding electronics to these existing appliances, and we're putting them in UCLA dorms. We have the mindset, we have the people, we have the campus. Let's harness the sun's energy directly into the grid. We'll be burning less fossil fuels. Let's store that energy in electric vehicles at night when we don't need to use that energy. Now you drive your car into work in the daytime and you can power your grid from your car. I already have an EV that you can charge at night and discharge into the grid in the daytime. I think that for someone like me, an engineer, we need to make a difference. I want to make a difference.
I chose engineering not because it was easy, but because it was hard. You know, I'm probably not the smartest guy, I'm not the best guy at math, and I knew that at a very young age. But I thought these other things were relatively easy. Engineering was the thing that was hardest for me to try to do well. I thought, well, then that's the thing I should try to do. I have a strong engineering sense that I can break down complex problems. I can identify where the real hinge points are in a problem, where if you can understand it and then you can change it, that now the game really changes. It's really the art of turning a problem into a solution.
As a kid in rural San Diego County, I could see the chaparral and hear coyotes at night, and it was just beautiful. Then one day I woke up and there was the sound of a bulldozer. And I went out and looked, and there was a bulldozer operator scraping the bottom of the canyon, scraping all of the vegetation. It was an absolutely searing experience to watch them rip this place apart. I went down into that canyon and begged that bulldozer operator to stop. I do what I do because I think that we've reached the end of the viability of that land development model.
My entire life has been driven by protection of the environment. You know, it's not any one thing. It's really a little bit of everything, and that's why it's so important to have a wide array of expertise on the Grand Challenge team, really taking on LA sustainability. The other thing that I really love about this project, it's not just UCLA. It's only going to work as a Grand Challenge if we partner with the City of Los Angeles, if we partner with the business community, if we partner with Los Angeles County.
There's almost a sense of, I don't want to call it urgency, but there's maybe a sense of need to collaborate now because these challenges that we're taking on are so complex and so big.
I am very optimistic that we can make Los Angeles a better place.
We could do things so much better and so much more beautifully for us.
If you don't believe that you can make the impossible possible, you know, you won't.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark Gold. I'm the Associate Director of UCLA's Institute of the Environment and Sustainability. Before we get going, I wanted to thank again Chancellor Block, Jim Economou, and Michelle Popowitz for their bold leadership on really launching the Grand Challenge effort. Well, to start off, we're taking on the greatest challenge of our time, climate change and all the resource problems caused by it. And UCLA will start working together on the challenge in our own backyard here in the Los Angeles region. We cannot meet these challenges without the efforts of our incredible researchers and the collaboration of our friends in Los Angeles County, in the city, the business community, NGOs, and so much more. UCLA's strength and innovation will lead to a transformation of the Los Angeles region to become a global urban sustainability leader. So it's with my pleasure to introduce someone who I've had a long time working relationship with, Supervisor Yaroslavsky, a Bruin grad, a very proud Bruin grad. He's also been a long-time environmental champion, starting from his days in stopping oil drilling in Pacific Palisades to his work in preserving land in the Santa Monica Mountains. On Sunday, there'll be a big celebration, the 10th anniversary of preserving Amundsen Ranch, and Zev played a huge role in making that happen. He's been a big leader on environmental health and has partnered so closely with our School of Public Health and Jonathan Fielding and everything that's happened there for the better. And he's also been a leader in really moving us forward in Los Angeles on public transportation and bringing us into the 21st century. So with that, Supervisor Yaroslavsky.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that introduction very much. I'm going to say at the outset that after I finish, I'm going to slip out. I apologize for that, but I've got an important meeting dealing with the Santa Monica Mountains back in my office downtown, and I do want to be ready for the 6 o'clock kickoff tonight at the Rose Bowl, which is my real priority. First of all, thank you, Chancellor Block, for inviting me to be a part of this program, and I'm proud of my alma mater for undertaking this incredible challenge. UCLA can play and must play the key role in bringing all of the stakeholders together to solve the problems and the challenges that we face as a society and as an ecosystem over the course of the next half century. Failure to do this would be malpractice on our part as human beings. We have to face up to the challenges that confront us, and they are substantial. The good news is that we have seen, as Chancellor Block alluded to in his remarks, we have seen some great progress being made when all people and all stakeholders, primarily the citizens of our community, come together in common cause to achieve an objective. Just a few weeks ago, I received a letter from a constituent of mine, elderly person who was a student of my parents when they ran a school in City Terrace. And they sent me a picture of the playground where my mother and father were leading a bunch of kindergarten kids in a circle dance of some sort. And in the background on City Terrace Drive, there was a plume of smoke coming out of some vehicle or incinerator. It's not clear where it was coming from, but it was in the middle of a residential community. And I said, that's what I remember as a child. That is what this town used to be like. Smoke everywhere, pollution everywhere, days when we weren't allowed to go out into the schoolyard and play because the air pollution control district had found that it was unhealthy. And the changes that have been made in air quality for the better in Los Angeles and Southern California are palpable. The changes that have been made in water consumption are remarkable. In the city of Los Angeles alone, in the Department of Water and Power, I may be a little off on the statistics, but we have 4 million people today. We consume no more water today than we did some 15 years ago when the population was 2.8 or 3 million people or something along that line. We've had a significant population increase and no net additional consumption of drinking water and agricultural water in the city of Los Angeles. This didn't happen by accident. It happened because individuals like you and me, listening to credible coaches from the public sector and from the academic sector saying, here's how you can join together in common cause and solve a problem. Turn off the showers when you're not when you don't need them. Turn off the faucet when you don't let it run when you're brushing your teeth. There's no need to do that. And we found, those of us who believed this propaganda, found that our water consumption was dropping precipitously. Our water bills were dropping not quite as precipitously, but we were contributing. And I can tell you from my personal experience, looking at my water bill every 2 months, going back to Tom Bradley's days in the mid-1970s, and seeing my own consumption, plotting it on a graph, seeing it drop, and feeling good about making my own contribution towards sustainability. We didn't call it sustainability in 1975. We just called it water conservation. But that's what can be done when we all come together. The fact of the matter is the challenges are great. There's a lot more to be done on air quality, on water conservation, on ecosystem balance, on preservation of our diminishing mountains and ecosystems in our mountains and wildlife migration routes and all the things that are component parts of who we are as an ecosystem. Those things require our attention. UCLA is uniquely qualified to bring us all together. Clearly, the research capabilities of the faculty that is housed here is second to none. And I point out Mark Gold, my friend, who we worked with closely when he was the executive director of Heal the Bay, has now taken his game to a new level and expanded the influence and the reach not only to the Bay, but to bays all over the world and to ecosystems all over the world. That's what UCLA has to offer. It's not just the School of Public Policy, it's not just the Koretz Center, which is in and of itself a great thing, but it's all of the schools and all of the nodes of intellectual activity and research that can be brought together and brought to bear on the rest of us right here on this campus. From the School of Public Policy, the environmental centers, the School of Public Health, which is second to none, the Fielding School of Public Health, and Jonathan Fielding has done an incredible job. He's our Director of Public Health in the County of Los Angeles, and the partnership between the county and UCLA School of Public Health has been significant. The medical school itself, which can address issues of health and mental health on a scale that nobody else can. The business school, which can look at the economic impacts of all the things we do. There is no university really on this scale with this intensity of intellectual capability as well as academic infrastructure that can bring their resources to bear on the challenges that we face more than UCLA. So this is a big deal. And the fact is that the rest of us, those of us in public policy positions, those of us who are elected officials and bureaucrats and everybody in between, we need you to show us the roadmap. Our people are great engineers and great bureaucrats and great implementers of plans, and they can even develop plans. But the solutions, the innovative solutions for the 21st century are not going to come out of government. They're not going to come exclusively out of government. They're going to come out of people like you, like those who are housed here on this campus, who can bring us to the cutting edge of problem-solving technologies that we can then run with and implement. That's the role that this university plays and this Grand Challenge is all about, as far as I'm concerned. You will give us you will be our coach. Here's the game plan. You guys go out on the field and you make it happen. And if we're lucky, the city and the county will have a few Miles Jacks, and those of you who follow UCLA football, and we'll score we'll make some big scores. I'm very confident of that. So I'm here today representing the county family, very excited about this partnership. I know that the city is going to be the lead on this, but as I like to remind everybody, the county is 88 cities, of which Los Angeles is just one 88th. But the truth is that the city is the principal player on so many levels. Electricity, power, energy, and water, of course. In the county, when it comes to the regional environmental policies, we've done a lot in the last 20, 25 years, but we have so much more to do. Water conservation, I think of the Sun Valley Water Reclamation project that we did in the Northeast San Fernando Valley with our Department of Public Works, where instead of building a multi-billion-dollar flood control channel to take water from the hills in the Northeast Valley and shunt it directly into the ocean without passing go and without collecting $200, we are now capturing the water coming off those mountains in storm drains, shunting them into the ground, putting them back into the San Fernando Valley water supply, the groundwater supply, which once we clean up the water supply, which is polluted at this point in time in spots, and that's another challenge we're going to face, and it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be cheap, and it's going to take some time. But once we do that, that water table in the San Fernando Valley, which has served the city of LA for so many years, so many decades, can once again give us a local source of water, which will help meet the 2050 challenge that the Chancellor talked about. And there are so many other things that we in the county level and the city level, and of course at the state and federal level, can do to help realize this goal. So I'm here to say, in the words of George McGovern, when he just before he dumped Thomas Eagleton from the ticket, we're 1,000% behind you. But we're not going to dump you. We have no choice. As I said at the outset, and I'll conclude with these remarks, with this statement, failure to act is malpractice on our part when it comes to the legacy we leave in our own name and to our children and our grandchildren. The time to act is now, and congratulations to UCLA for helping us get there. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti. And first, thank you to Chancellor Block, my very good friends and philanthropists, Tony and Jeannie Pritzker, the one and only Mark Gold from the Institute of the Environment and Sustainability, and the countless professors and staff that all work together to make this grand challenge possible. My sincere apologies for not being able to join you today. And although I may seem to only be here in pixels, I'm very much with you in spirit, and you can count on my presence every step of the way, because this initiative is incredibly important to me and to our city. I commend UCLA for responding to my call to universities and other important institutions to join together to create new partnerships for improving our economy and addressing our city's current and future challenges. My administration and I personally look forward to working closely with UCLA on this first exciting challenge, which will move our city forward towards water, locally produced, and renewable power locally produced. In addition to my role on President Obama's Climate Task Force, count on me to do everything I can to support you. This challenge focuses on the realities of climate change, for which we must prepare now. I ran for mayor because I want to take on tough challenges, and that's exactly what we will do through the Thriving in a Hotter Los Angeles initiative. UCLA recognizes the vital importance of coordination and cooperation with government agencies, city, state, and national, and the absolutely critical need for collaboration and teamwork with industry, labor, research and educational institutions, the nonprofit sector, and community organizations. Despite 1.5 million more people living here, Los Angeles consumes the same amount of water we did 30 years ago. And we're now home to the nation's most extensive green building ordinance and the nation's largest solar feed-in tariff program. So we know how to do big things. But we have to do more, much more. So I'm on the side of the innovators and the agents of change at UCLA. UCLA has always led, not only as an institution of higher learning for our city and the world, but also as home to some of the most important theoretical and applied research. Whether inventing or discovering, if any institution can lead this partnership into ushering LA into a greener future, it's UCLA. This is our city, and no one can rise to the challenge alone, so I look forward to seeing all of you soon, and you can count on me every step of the way on this great challenge. Let's get it done.
So as you can see from the standpoint of local leadership, having Mayor Garcetti and Supervisor Yaroslavsky on our team really makes a big difference in us getting a good start on this. Someone else who's a leader in LA City Council, Paul Koretz, is also here today. Another former Bruin. I'm sure you're going to see a theme of that. And the Bruins definitely came out, so we're very happy about that. Paul is a former assemblyman. As an assemblyman, he really focused on the environmental side, more from the standpoint of environmental health. His work in particular on reducing health risks because of smoking and stopping smoking in public places was so important for the state of California and for public health, and thank him for that. So he's had a very long environmental record, and as a city council member, he's been working a lot on the fracking issue of late, and something near and dear to my heart, which is he brought to the finish line, finally, the plastic bag ban in the city of Los Angeles. So everybody, please welcome Councilman Paul Koretz.
Well, thank you, Mark, for that nice introduction, and I'm so excited to get to work with you on this, and so excited to be here at my alma mater for this historic announcement. Thank you for including me, Chancellor Block. I graduated, well, more years ago than I'd like to admit. The only thing I can say, though, is Zev graduated even more years ago than I did. All these years later, I'm glad that UCLA as an institution is still up to grand challenges and still is inspiring to students as you were to me. The events of this past week certainly underscore the need for this challenge. As the people of the Philippines are digging out and burying their dead from yet another catastrophic storm, we have to take stock and we have to take action. In 2013 alone, extreme storm events accompanied by deadly flash floods occurred on all 6 reignable continents, from Boulder to Pakistan, from Argentina to the Sudan and on. Under that onslaught, climate change deniers can barely hold up their umbrellas. The climate crisis is getting worse quickly, and the oil and gas industry's response is more of the same. Drill, baby, drill. And the way they're going at it is endangering something else, California's second most important resource, which is water. I'll get to the most important resource in a second. But we keep receiving industry-funded reports that methane and oil are the state's most precious resources, but they're not. Despite a massive PR campaign suggesting otherwise, coming at us from every direction, in reality, when you count externalities, natural gas is really a bridge fuel to nowhere. Now, that other university across town recently came up with a Trojan horse study. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Funded by the Petroleum Association, by the way, touting all the money to be made by fracking in California. But they missed something. They missed what that would cost us, and at the end of the day, you can't drink natural gas, you can't drink oil, and if the fracking frenzy ends up contaminating water like it has in Pennsylvania and Texas and Wyoming, we won't be able to drink our water either. But we have an economy and a society is based almost completely on the extraction and burning of hydrocarbons, and a federal government that is under the relentless petroleum industry influence. So what do? Well, fortunately, California's most precious resource, UCLA, has come up with a solution. People come to California to dream and to innovate. Students come to UCLA to learn how to make those dreams reality. And according to the Princeton Review, UCLA is already leading the nation on addressing the need for living sustainably. It is already helping the city grow its clean tech economy and corridor. And it is already leading the way on combating the climate crisis with innovative and relevant and hyper-local studies on how it will affect our friends and neighbors and their pocketbooks. But that's not enough. What UCLA is doing here today is saying, let's dream together as an institution and as a community. Let's set a benchmark, let's put all our remarkable resources on it, and let's achieve it. If you don't have a map, you don't know where you're going, and you don't know when you've gotten there. This is going to provide all of that for us. What happened in this past week in the Philippines was tragic and overwhelming. But Mayor Garcetti's appointment to President Obama's Climate Change Task Force and now UCLA's Grand Challenge to achieve 100% sustainability in energy, water, and biodiversity by 2050 have given me new hope. Together, UCLA gives us a map, a destination, and a compass. Together, we'll find that sustainable future, an actual, true, clean energy future, and more importantly, a clean air future, a clean water future, and a biodiverse future. Chancellor Block, I thank you and commend you and your staff and your team for launching this absolutely critical initiative. I'm here for you as a strong partner on the LA City Council. I'll only be able to work with you for 8 more years because then they toss us out with term limits. But we'll try and make sure that we have successors on the council also that are very focused on this. I and my colleagues will be good partners with you on this grand endeavor. And what happens in Los Angeles does not stay in Los Angeles, unlike Las Vegas. I'm not exaggerating to say that UCLA's Grand Challenge will echo around the world. Today you've thrown down a gauntlet, but tomorrow the rest of the world will pick it up and join you on our quest for a safer, more sustainable, and more biodiverse world. So I thank you for everything that you're doing. This is the most exciting project I've heard about in my lifetime, and I thank everyone associated with it for moving it forward. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Paul. That's quite a statement. One of the things, City of Los Angeles, I do want to mention, because it really was an inspiration for this thing getting off the ground, was the work that our own Alex Hall did, was funded by the City of Los Angeles and the federal government through ARA on downscaling the City of LA and realizing that we're going to live in a hotter Los Angeles in 2050, and we don't want it to be Phoenix. We want it to be a sustainable Los Angeles, and that's really what this is all about. It's my pleasure to introduce the next speaker, who's an honorary Bruin, Tony Pritzker. I think he's doing more for the campus than any current Bruin, to be quite candid. Not only is he the chair of the Institute of the Environment and Sustainability Board, and has been for about 7 years, he's also the chair, as you've heard, of the Centennial campaign, which is the most ambitious fundraising effort that this campus has ever undertaken. He's been a generous supporter and leader on campus and of the IoES. He has a particular passion for for urban sustainability, so it's great that this Grand Challenge fits right in there with what his interests are. He's been an environmental leader for over 20 years. I had the pleasure of working with him closely when he was the chair of the board at Heal the Bay. And with that, everybody please welcome Tony Pritzker.
Wow, I was expecting about 20 or 30 people to show up to this, and so when UCLA turns out to solve a problem, everybody shows up. It's exciting to see how many people are interested in this subject. You know, I'm going to echo a lot of the comments that you guys have already heard. It really takes a very broad group of people to solve a giant problem like this. And it takes a university that has world-class professors and world-class talent to be able to do this. The challenge for everybody in this room is to put aside any special interest or whatever you do in your department and make sure that you pick up with the other people across campus. If you think about it, we are uniquely qualified here. I'm going to say what's already been said. We have public policy department. We have public health school. We have the Institute of the Environment and Sustainability. We have the hospital, so health sciences. We have a fantastic engineering department here. Business, law. To solve these problems, we all have to work together. And that is what's so unique, both about UCLA and why UCLA is uniquely positioned to solve a problem like this, but it's also why I have confidence that a place like this is going to be able to do it. But it only happens if everybody in this room puts down differences and works together to solve problems like this. As Zev said, it's not the government officials that come up with the answers. They need good data, and they need good research, and they need a thoughtful group who can come up with solutions that are possible. And myself, I'm a business person, so we're in a bunch of different manufacturing businesses. We can come up with some products that maybe address different issues, but unless the data is properly put together and thought about and thoughtfully strung together, we're just not going to solve the problem in any one business or any one government official. So I think the challenge is really on you. There's no congratulations. We're just starting this. But I'm expecting UCLA to be a world leader in solving problems that we have in this environmental area. I could go down an incredible host of people who can contribute, but I probably don't know a third of the people in this room who are going to make that difference, who are going to break out and make that difference. So I'm just going to keep it brief, and thank you guys so much for your energy and enthusiasm.
Not too long ago, President Obama threw out the challenge, the Grand Challenge, to get universities involved in trying to solve some of the world's most intractable problems. And UCLA today, as you're hearing, is trying to answer that call. We're here to answer that call. And representing the Obama administration, the Assistant Director of Grand Challenges in the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy is Crirstin Dorgelo. She's the former vice president of the X Prize, so she understands the entrepreneurial nature of how do you make these crazy grand challenges actually happen. She's had a lot of experience in doing that. And most importantly, the theme continues, she's a former Bruin.
Hi, everybody, and yes, I am a former Bruin, and in fact, I was thinking as I drove here today that it's actually about to be my 15th anniversary next month of finishing my undergrad work here, And I can't think of a better way to be spending that anniversary than celebrating UCLA's commitment to grand challenges, including the first one that we're talking about here today. So thank you, Chancellor Block and Vice Chancellor Economou and Michelle and Jill and Mark for your leadership on this initiative and getting it kicked off today. So I want to talk a little bit about the bigger picture, not just this first grand challenge, but why President Obama and the current administration and the federal government are so committed to this concept of grand challenges broadly. They've been part of President Obama's strategy for American innovation for a number of years now. And the reason for that is that they're able to act these big, hairy, audacious goals, these goals that are audacious but yet potentially achievable. They can act as a North Star to get this public-private philanthropic commitment and involvement and teamwork together. And Tony, thank you for your leadership in support of this initiative. I think it's tremendous that a goal like this can bring these aspects of community together. You know, Mark mentioned that I used to lead large competitions at the X Prize Foundation, and I got to work on things like super efficient cars and radical breakthroughs in oil cleanup technology. And if I learned anything from that experience, it's that I'm shocked on an ongoing basis about what small teams of people who are pursuing a really big goal can actually accomplish. And if you set the right goal, you can actually get there. You know, we are excited about the concept of grand challenges also because they will hopefully inspire more students to complete their science, technology, engineering, and math degrees, and also help those in other disciplines understand how to work across discipline lines to solve these problems. One of the things that's so exciting to me about it as a former Bruin is the fact that I'm seeing this collaboration across North and South Campus. That transfer of ideas across disciplines, research shows that that's where the true breakthroughs come, is at the borders, where we can share ideas with each other about how to reach those big goals in a way we might not have thought of previously. This first grand challenge is also close to my heart. In addition to being a Bruin, I grew up here in Southern California. My parents were locally elected water officials for 35 years. I remember the stories of water conservation that we heard earlier today. I remember being limited in terms of the number of minutes I could take a shower. And so I really appreciate this first area of focus, and I can't wait to hear what the next 5 are going to be. So thank you for your audacity and not just committing to one really big grand challenge, but looking at more that the rest of the campus can contribute to. And I believe you can do it, and I think this is not just going to be a local effort, it's going to be one that can cross outside of UCLA and impact the world's decisions related to sustainability as you achieve these breakthroughs in R&D. So once again, thank you. The remarks you saw from President Obama were at the launch of the BRAIN Initiative, which is an initiative that crosses the borders of neuroscience and nanoscience to help us understand how the human brain works, how the dynamic human brain works, so that we can solve diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Some of UCLA's researchers were there at the launch of that initiative, and I expect that as you make progress on this goal related to sustainability in LA, we'll be celebrating your successes there as well. So thank you very much, and I can't wait to see what UCLA pulls off. Go Bruins!
All right, just to wrap up, first of all, thank you everybody for sticking through the entire program. Obviously, this is the first day of our efforts to meet the grand challenge of a sustainable, energy and water self-sufficient Los Angeles that protects our incredible biodiversity heritage here in the LA area. But obviously the challenge, as you've heard, is going to be very, very difficult. Not only the technical breakthroughs, the policy breakthroughs, the legal breakthroughs, the work on biodiversity protection, and the fact that as a campus, really having, as Tony said so well, having everybody work together across disciplines and break out of their silos to really focus on something so critical to everybody, not only here in the LA region, but basically to serve as an example in urban sustainability around the world. That is a huge, huge challenge for all of us. Finding the resources to make it happen may be almost as big a challenge as that. And just in closing, one last thank you to the team who's basically sacrificed a year of their life, the professors, Alex Hall, Diana Huffaker, Glenn McDonald, and Catherine Reisch for all of her incredible support. Thank you guys again, and let's move forward and make a sustainable Los Angeles.